Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Rick and Morty, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Dylan Hysen, and welcome to our panel discussion for this week of Rick and Morty. No new episode this week because of Labor Day, but we will be having a panel on Season 3 so far. Episodes 1 to 6 of Season 3. We'll evaluate what's been the best, things like what's been the best episode, character. We'll get into all of that of the season so far, evaluate Season 3 as a whole. Rick and Morty not here this week, but we still have our panel discussion. Usually we have 2 Rick and Morty podcasts a week. On weeks when the show is new, we have our recap and our panel. So subscribe to us at overlyanimated.com or search for the Overly Animated Rick and Morty podcasts on iTunes, your favorite podcatcher, to make sure you keep up to date with all of our Rick and Morty podcasts. We really appreciate you guys listening so far this season, and we still have 4 more episodes to go. So a lot more to get into in season 3 of Rick and Morty. But yeah, here's our panel discussion. We have 4 people here who will be competing for all the glory and no prize of winning this season 3 so far panel. We will meet them in a second.
They should get a prize.
Yeah, I think there's, I get
like a round of applause or like
okay, we can give we'll give the winner a round of applause. How about that? The prize has been that you get to go first on the next one, except April won the last one and she's not here, so none of you get the prize, I guess. So yeah.
Dang.
April has April won last week, and we'll see who wins on this week's panel. You'll meet them all when they answer our first question. So let's get right into this. Here's our first question, and I'll say full name, and you'll hear their voice as we go down the line here. The first thing I want to know is, what is your grade for this season so far of Rick and Morty? Obviously, it's only 6 episodes, so you can't fully compare it to seasons 1 and 2, but on an A to F scale, arbitrary according to whatever your rating system is, what would you give the season so far? And also, what is the best episode of the season according to you? So kind of a 2-part question, your grade for the season and what's the best episode. Michelle Anderer, because I didn't introduce you yet. Hi. And what is your answer to this question?
Hello.
Hi. Yeah.
I gave the overall season A- in terms of a grade. I was conflicted for a while, but I decided that even my least favorite episodes were really solid and had a lot of really good parts, even if as a whole I wasn't as big a fan of them as others. I mean, on the scale of rating Rick and Morty on its own, I think definitely this is one of the strongest seasons by far. So A- for me. And my top episode's actually Rick Mancing the Stone. It was hard because a lot of episodes had really good aspects, especially Pickle Rick is such a unique episode. But I decided that in terms of a standard Rick and Morty episode, Rick Mancing the Stone had really, really good pacing. It had so many funny moments. I laughed so loud at so many of the concepts, and I thought they delivered really, really well. And overall, I just thought it was a very, very strong, enjoyable, general Rick and Morty episode. So it was my number 1 for the season so far.
Nice. Rick Mancing the Stone, the Mad Max parody episode. Probably not a choice we'll hear a lot from, but you
I did not expect so, but
yeah, you've been very high on that, consistently high on that episode all season long so far. So A- and Rick Mancing the Stone. Nice. Alex, what say you? Alex Bonilla is here. Alex, hello.
Hola.
Okay. Made sure we got the all in. And what's your answer to this 2-part question?
So far, I'm going to give the season a B. Obviously, there's room to improve as we go through the rest of the season. I think Rick Shank Redemption still holds up as the best episode of the season so far, although Rest and Rick Laxation, the last one we saw, I think that one comes very close and is also a top-tier episode. I think the rest of the episodes are very good, even compared to normal Rick and Morty. The only exception, I think, is Vindicators 3, which, as I've talked about on this panel before, is a dud to me. But looking back, Season 1 had about 2 dud episodes. Season 2 had 1. So right now, that brings the season's grade down a bit. But if the season continues and we end up getting similarly high-quality episodes, I do think that this season can become an A. Maybe not on par with the Season 2, which I still think is the best, and it would need to pick up really fast to get back up there, but I think it's on par with season 1 right now. It can be better than that. I think it's been it's got a lot of funny stuff, although I feel like it doesn't have as many quotable lines as previous seasons. But I do think the gags are still very good, sometimes very smart, and occasionally very lowbrow, but still functional. So all in all, I enjoy the season so far. I think that there's still time for it to be a really great season of Rick and Morty.
Nice. Yeah, some great points there. I think that, I kind of agree with you that it might not be as quotable so far, although it is a little bit hard to tell so close to the episode airings. But that's potentially a good point here. We got, what was it, a B, and then Rick Shank Redemption from Alex here. I think that would be that's a pretty crowd pleasing opinion there. I think there's a lot of people nodding along with that answer as they're listening. Okay. Next we have Brit Griffin here joining us today. Brit, hello, and what's your answer to this 2-part question?
I think the episodes so far have been very strong, and I would give it probably an A-. I'd give it an A+, but I agree that the Vindicators 3 was kind of dumb. I liked the beginning of it, and then they got to the point where they were wandering around following drunk Rick's, explanations, and I'm like, well, this is a waste of my time. I'm not going to say even that it wasn't funny, it was just stupid. If this was a menu item, you could spend your money on something else. About as exciting as ground turkey patties.
Okay. So
Burn.
Wow, yeah, that was a harsh burn there. So A-, and what's your favorite episode of the season?
I really, really like the Rick Shank Redemption. I think it's probably one of the better episodes of the entire show. But I also like Rick Mancing the Stone. I just like the AU feel of it, and it is incredibly funny. And the Rick Shank Redemption is a very dry humor. It's very Rick humor, whereas the Rick Mancing the Stone is very sort of outlandish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was rewatching the episode earlier, and there's a dude time when Morty's fighting this dude, and his outfit is attached to his nipple piercings. That.
Yes.
Summer's boyfriend. Hilarious. But I also just enjoy watching Rick just outsmart the FBI dude. The FBI, the International Galactic.
So a lot of love for episodes 1 and 2 from you.
Yeah, I would probably say Rick Shank Redemption's probably going to be number 1. Rick Mancing the Stone's probably going to be number 2.
Okay.
I think those are the best. They're very close.
Yeah. So they're
very close.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Some solid choices here. Also going with Rick Shank Redemption. I think that's probably the most common favorite I've seen, so I'm not surprised to see it come up a few times here. Okay, good stuff from Brit there. Last we have Andy Potter. Andy, hi, and what's your answer to this 2-part question?
Hey, Dylan. My answer to this is I think this season has been an A so far. We have 4 more episodes, but I think it's been an A so far. They brought on a lot of new writers. They've been trying some new things, and they've been surprisingly consistent with these new ideas while still keeping the same Rick and Morty idea of crazy concepts during each episode. And that's really impressive. We've been exploring a lot of dark themes. We've been exploring Rick's personality, Morty's personality. We've been exploring Beth a little more, but I would hope we explore her more in the next 4 episodes. We've been exploring Summer more. And these are things we didn't really get in the first 2 seasons to this extent, to this consistency each episode. I didn't expect each week to come in and expect to see things about their personalities at all. But this season, it's I'm ready to see what new thing we're going to see about Rick's personality, about Morty's personality. I'm ready for that. And that's really enjoyable. And it's a little different. But I think they're pulling it off very, very well so far. And my favorite episode of this season is Pickle Rick, because it kind of is that balancing act of the old Rick and Morty of the craziness and the zaniness, and this new Rick and Morty, which is about character development and the way they all interact together. And I think that it balances it in a way that other episodes haven't quite done yet, but they've been doing it fairly well all season.
Okay. Pickle Rick. Yeah, nice. We got that in. So he's an A, and Pickle Rick. Okay. Some variety, some varying opinions on takes of the season, A to B. We got, some different episodes in here. Yeah. I think I'm on a B+ for the season, and either Pickle Rick or, Rest and Rick's Relaxation is the top episode of the season. Rick Shank Redemption also very good. I will say the one thing that's I would like from the season, there's been no like super standout top tier episode to me so far. For a lot of people that's Rick Shank Redemption, but for me I don't know. So I'd love if one of our last 4 episodes.
But consistency means a lot too.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It's much more consistent. Even like Vindicators 3 was still like not as terrible as like some of the other episodes. Like it was still watchable, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was
had its
bored,
moments.
but I was still like, well, I guess I'll watch this.
Yeah, I think Vindicators 3 is fine. I've always defended that episode, and I agree. All the episodes this season probably better than Get Swifty. So like there's the low point is higher than it was on previous seasons. Although again, as I always say, there's no bad Rick and Morty episode. 5 points for all of you on that. Oh yeah, we're grading this. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we're grading on originality of answer, reasoning behind answer, and I don't know, some other bullshit, whatever the
And your opinion.
Some other bullshit.
Whatever the fuck I grade with these answers with. Okay, so everyone gets a 5 on that. These are all acceptable opinions, and all defended pretty well. So, the grading will only get harsher from here, though, as we get into our second question. Which character is the MVP of the season so far? This could be anyone from Rick, Morty to minor characters. Who do you think has, who's added the most to the season? Who do you think's been the funniest? However you want to answer this question. Let's go back around here, starting with Andy.
I really wish I wasn't going first here, but I think the right answer for once is Morty. He has improved. He has grown a lot this season. He has just compared this Morty this season to Morty's other seasons, and he's doing a lot more in the show. He has a lot more agency. Like there was in Rest and Relaxation, just the beginning there, he was the one piloting the ship while Rick did something. Rick trusted Morty to drive the ship around and fight things and stuff. And he's been watching him improve over the season as a whole has been very fun and very interesting. On an episode by episode basis, I think it's been less interesting, but overall, just watching this change has been very, very well done, and I really like it a lot. And I think that just looking back, it's always been Morty's like side comments to people that have been the funniest, like when he's talking to the Vindicators, when he's getting mad about Rick killing everybody, and when he's just like it just he's the one I think about now when I think about Rick and Morty more than Rick sometimes, and that's a very big change from other seasons, I think. And yeah, that's why I think Morty's had the most, other than Rick, the most focus in his character, and I think it's very, very telling and very showing this season.
Okay. Bold move going Morty here again. It's the answer every week.
Maybe he just really likes Morty.
I've never.
Yeah, no, this is not.
I've never said.
Yeah, for the record, Alex is the one that says if Alex says Morty, he will get deduction. Advance warning.
Yeah,
but
that's why. That's why.
Oh.
But yeah, that's some good reasoning. I'll comment. I'll save my comments for the end. But yeah, that's a well reasoned, probably correct answer. I agree. So, but we'd also like originality here. Brit, who's your MVP of the season?
I'm gonna go with Summer. She's just been my favorite all season. She just has the best comments, in my opinion. Like, boob yeah,
yeah.
boo nah.
Yeah.
When she stops making out with a dude Rick Mansing the Stone because he has a stupid fucking mustache, and she's like, let's just make out. I don't care. And by the way, as we're watching it, that dude was wearing literally assless chaps. And like it's just a cup. It was great. I
Yeah.
That world's Summer has great taste. Her line with the movies, and just she's grown the most. I think we've seen the most out of her. Like she is active in like all her. She like wants to go on adventures. She's sort of starting to think the way Rick thinks. Like, but if we move the flies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's my fave. Even in the Whirly Turley Conspiracy, when she was having a teenage breakdown and turned into a giant angry monster, she's still funny. So she doesn't necessarily progress the show as much because she's not as much as a forefront character as Rick or Morty, but I want her to be. You know what I mean? I hope they do more with her and they continue like pushing her forward as they have over there. They started in like season 2, because season 1, like she's kind of an afterthought, like along with the rest of the family. She's not like really fleshed out, but seeing her come into her own and having a female character on a slapstick dark comedy show that's not, a one-hit wonder or has huge boobs is kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, solid answer there, Summer.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
Yeah, definitely the MVP of the early part of the season, I think, for sure.
Yeah, definitely like the early part of the season. She's not really in...
Although she still has some good stuff, like with Trisha Lang in that one episode, yeah. So yeah, Summer, strong choice here. So
definitely the MVP. A little bit in Pickle Rick, but not as much, I think.
Yeah, she's still good in Pickle Rick too with the hoofing, yeah.
So, there's the rest of the season, and that's the main thing that I'm hoping for.
Nice, yeah, definitely hoping for more from Summer here. So we got Morty, Summer, Alex. You may answer any character as long as it's not Morty. Go ahead.
I'm really hoping you answer Morty.
Me too.
Morty.
I'm conflicted. Well, it would be a disservice to my character if I voted Morty on 5 straight panels and did not choose Morty.
I hate you.
And look, here's why. I'll go episode by episode. Okay, Rick Shank Redemption. I agree that this is the only episode of the season where Rick is the MVP. But Rick Mancing the Stone, he leads with the Armathy plot. He lets out all his feelings over the divorce, and I think he's solid there. Whereas Summer kind of has to share the spotlight with Hemorrhage and all, so they're kind of shared. Whereas Morty carries his side of the story on his own. Pickle Rick also kind of weak there. Vindicators 3, I think he does the best in just expressing his disgust with Rick's actions, basically speaking for the audience. And I think he lets out the funniest lines of that episode, despite it being the weakest of the season. Whirly Durly Conspiracy, Morty is who saves that B plot from being boring. His frustration with Beth and his dialogue with Summer's ex-boyfriend at the end, that saves that from being his actions is what makes that side of the story watchable, whereas on the other side, Rick has to share with Jerry and Risotto. And finally, Rest in Ricklaxation. Obviously, the MVP there is a healthy Morty, and just seeing how he acts and how that demonstrates his development through the course of the season. So yeah, that's about 4 episodes where he's a solid MVP out of 6. So Morty is the correct answer, and I will continue to stand by that answer.
He did the thing. I respect you for that, though.
Well,
I do respect you. You've held your guns against the Dylan.
Oh well, I'll save my comments here for the grading portion. Certainly a well-reasoned answer. Okay, Michelle, who's your MVP?
My MVP is also Summer, and Brit brought up a lot of really amazing points. And I think for me also just the fact that Summer became way more awesome, and they decided to care about her character and give her more things to do, and she really rose to the occasion. I think she's one of the most enjoyable teenager characters I've seen in a show, especially an anime show that feels like they actually got it right. Even though she's getting more involved in their Rick shenanigans and trying to figure out am I gonna be like Rick? What do I what's my morality gonna be like? How is it changing? How is Morty's experience gonna influence what I end up doing too? But at the end of the day, she still has her teenagery moments, which I love so much, and I feel they're kind of underrated because they're really, really funny. One of my favorite lines is still from Rick Mancing the Stone when she flips the guy over in the car and he's begging her to kill him. She's okay, but not because you told me to. And I just I love that personality. I love it so much. And it's been very consistent. And I have a lot of hope that she will become more of a focus. She's never going to have as much focus, I imagine, as the 2 title main characters. But outside of that, I think she's pretty awesome, and what we've seen in her has been really gratifying and rewarding so far, especially this season. So that's why she's my MVP.
Okay.
Girl power. Girl.
Yay! Summer power.
Summer.
Yeah. Summer is ending, but Summer's presence on the show is not. Okay, there was something there. Okay. but
Good job.
Yeah.
Wow.
okay. So
I appreciated it.
we had only two answers. The problem is you could pick any character. Like, there's so many ways to go this season. I mean, you could have said Trisha Lang. We're going to be talking a lot about her later. You could have went Rick. No one said Rick. I mean, so look, I think Morty's probably the correct answer. So I'll give Andy 5 points for saying it first. Summer's also a very good answer, so Brit will get 4 points for that. Saying Summer again, still a good answer, but it was the second time, so Michelle gets 3 points. And Alex answered Morty for the 5th consecutive podcast. In honor of that, he will be getting -5 points for this question.
Wow, this is like some Hogwarts house shit right here with minus points. Oh my god.
1 point off for every consecutive Morty answer, although it was potentially the most well-reasoned answer ever given on this panel. I don't care. I don't care.
I was going to say...
Like, it was like episode by episode breakdown of his...
I want to argue that at least my answer was better than Andy's. I feel like I supported the Morty...
You said it second, and you said it for the 5th consecutive time. And I'm not weighing these criteria equally, obviously, because originality there was heavily influential. I do appreciate Alex just not caring about losing points, though. So I think that makes it better. So after 2 rounds, we have Andy at 10 points, Brit at 9 points, Michelle at 8 points, and Alex at 0 points. Okay.
0!
So
there's a lot of questions left, though.
Yeah,
so.
if Alex can come back and win, that would be the most impressive feat. He did get like 7 points on a question last time, so it is possible.
I could also shoot myself by saying some names wrong. It can happen.
Well, there's still 8 points behind everyone else, so it would be.
Yeah,
I think it's a given that you'll lose some points, Andy. That's inevitable. Okay.
That's inevitable,
yeah. So let's continue here. Andy always starts out strong, but then can't. Okay.
But then I say something strong.
let's continue.
And then you get mad.
Next thing is funniest line of the entire season. Okay, I'm expecting good things here. You can pick at any of these 6 episodes, any line. You can repeat stuff from the panels that you answered for an individual episode. What is in theory, your answer for this should be something you said in a previous panel, probably. Because it's the best line of the episode, then it would be the best line of the season. So what is the funniest line of the entire season? Alex, you can start us off here.
Okay, so Vindicators 4, while it's a weak episode, the build-up is strong and like seeing how Rick maybe cares for Morty and all. So he goes to that wild amusement park ride, and it just ends with Rick expressing himself to Noob Noob, and Morty goes, "Motherfuck." So just like the build up to all of that, and just like his disappointment at the end and his delivery. I think that's the best use of a vulgarity I've ever heard in a animated program.
Ooh, wow. This is a superlative there. I like that. Okay. I like the hot takes. There's a strong take from Alex on the motherfuck from Vindicators. Brit, what is your funniest line of the season?
I think my funniest line of the season is Summer's line in the Whirly Durly Conspiracy. Why do you like Tammy so much? What do you have in common? Is your shared love of French cinema? The view that only carbon tax is the only way to stop global warming? Or maybe it's for giant stripper titties.
It's a really good
And then
one.
Boob Yeah was a close one.
Okay. That'd have been
Forgot about Boob, yeah.
Boobia is the funnier line.
that would have been close going boobia there, bold going boobia there. But yeah, I do love that line from Summer there. Okay. Michelle, what's your
It's also my MVP, so I'm on brand.
Yeah, Brit is on brand.
Yeah,
Alex,
you are on brand.
Potentially not on brand here. I'll get more in a second, but
Morty.
Morty is on brand. I'll give you that. Okay.
Morty's on
Michelle,
brand.
what's your funniest line of the season?
Honestly, the Terry Fold song is like my favorite. It's so good, and just like the ending like chunk where it's like, "You can grab my holy fold, squeeze them tight, you son of a bitch." Yeah, like lick my flappy foldy holes, you piece of shit. It's just like so funny, and like the fact that he lip synced the whole thing, it just feels so perfect and in character, and like amazingly iconic. Like this, that's sort of like. Rick screaming on Pickle Rick is one of the like highlights of iconic things to happen for this season for me for sure. So I gotta stay true to it. Terry Folds all the way.
Yeah, nice. Improv the whole thing. Yeah, I do love the Terry Folds song. Yeah, continue to listen to it, even though we're we're pretty far removed from the episode. Okay, strong choice there. Andy, what's your funniest line of the episode?
My funniest line, and this was my funniest line of the Vindicators podcast. Who the fuck is Noob Noob? I just, whenever I watch that shot of Morty looking up at Rick, when Rick says this line, I can't control myself. Just the whole, it was an entire episode to set up this one line of dialogue, and it was incredible. It was worth this episode was worth it just for this one line, for Logic singing in the background while Rick questioned who the fuck is Noob Noob. I don't know. This line makes me just die every single time I hear it, and it would not be nearly as good if Morty was not just so mad about it while he said it. Oh my god, this is my favorite line with the best setup of any joke I think in this season so far.
Nice. Okay.
If I may rebut, I just want to defend my line versus that, because my line happened right after Rick is all like, well, maybe I care about you, like in response to this whole gag thing. But then after he says this line, then you have the whole fighting with the Million Ants and Supernova. Then you have throwing yourself into this monster, and then Rick lets out that line. So I feel like you're too separated from the part of the episode that made that joke work for it to be as funny as it was when it came immediately after Rick, like, kind of sort of saying that he, like, maybe cares about him.
But the point of this line is that it's built up for the entire episode. It starts with the Vindicators, where but
mine.
It's an entire episode of build up. Yeah, yours is set up like
you
for
guys
10
are trying
seconds.
really hard to win. I get that, but like you can only defend your answer so much.
This isn't gaining you points.
True.
Yeah. You guys gave this.
I know.
In my eyes, you guys gave the same answer. So it was from the same part of the episode. Okay.
Yeah, mine was the peak. His was the end. That's all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
All right.
I disagree.
So out of all those lines,
disagree.
Alex and Andy, you guys gave lines that are like built up, and it's not the line itself; it's the build. Anyway, I don't super agree with the logic behind that. I think Brit said the pure funniest line out of the four of you, so Brit gets 5 points. Michelle gets, I'll give Michelle 4 points. I don't know, the whole song isn't even in the episode. That's the problem. It's not really a line. The part you quoted, I don't know if that's in the actual episode, but
It is.
Yeah.
It's more towards the end.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it's in the credits. Okay, yeah.
It's in the
that's
credits.
fine. Okay.
Yeah.
4 points. Yeah, I do love the song. And Alex gets 3 points. It's a solid choice. I don't know if the line itself is the build up, but mostly just because it's off brand on you thinking the Vindicators sucks. Like, how can the funniest line of the season be from the episode that you don't like?
Because the rest of the episode was so terrible.
Yeah, I'm not
He
buying
also
that.
called it Vindicators 4.
Yeah. Ooh. Andy, look, Andy's trying really hard to...
Wait, what did Andy say? I didn't hear that.
He said you called it Vindicators 4. I do kind of remember that. But Andy pointing it out is not going to take points away. But
I know.
Yeah, so at 3 points for Alex there. Just be off-brand this, and then Andy gets 2 points because you just repeated Alex's answer basically. So I consider that a similar answer. Although I do agree that whole scene and those lines are great. I feel like funniest line is it's something that can stand on its own. Like Summer's line is like really great on its own. Like more.
No, I actually agree with you, and I think like just in general, the show, as we mentioned, has been less quotable than like previous seasons. A lot of the humor in this season, I feel like, is more based on build up than actually being funny on its own.
More complex.
Yeah.
Rather
The
than
humor's
just
gotten
being like a gag. Like this is a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the
I
humor has
could quote
changed
it.
a
I
little
could
compared to
quote
the
giant
previous
stripper
seasons.
titties all day. That's just me.
Noted. Yeah, I agree with you, Alex. But I do think that there were choices, so I don't know if you had to go with that one. Like, I mean, there was another line from Vindicators with the ghost penis. Like, we could go on with that one. There was
The penis thing.
I don't know the
yeah.
quote.
do
It's
your
hard- you
research.
have
Go
to-
back and watch the episode. I gave you these questions ahead of time, Andy. What are you talking about?
I did it ahead of time. I can't understand what
What do you
he
mean
said.
I
He said
don't
it
know the
quick.
quote? Put on closed captioning.
2 weeks
What are you
ago,
talking
I
about? You've had this
man.
several days. Oh my
hair,
god.
and I still didn't
I'm-
repeat anybody.
He said it too quick.
Dylan
Andy, I'm
is
taking off 2
lit
points
right
for
now.
that. I'm
You didn't hear what I was saying.
taking
Dylan.
off 2
I
points.
can't hear what he's
You
saying
guys-
'cause I can't hear what he's saying because he talks too
Put
quick.
on closed
Ghost
captions.
penis.
Put on closed captions. Also, I quoted it on the recap podcast. podcast. You could have gone back.
I know. I didn't understand when you said it either.
Put on the closed caption. Oh my god. Okay, Andy.
It's taking. I still don't. I need to go.
Andy loses 2 points. It was inevitable. Okay, so I have to.
You were just looking for something
No,
at this point.
That got me. Okay, so Brit leads with 14 points. Michelle 12, Andy 10, Alex 3. Okay, let's continue here. So here's our longer form. Oh, I don't necessarily need super long answers to this. Our more deep question. So in episode 1 of the season, Rick promised the darkest season of the show. And it was kind of a gag, but maybe he was being serious, when he's, like yelling at Morty at the end of, episode 1. So my question is, has it been the darkest season up to this point? And if so, or if not, or I guess only if so, is that a good thing? Like, has that been beneficial, to the show? So let's start, with Michelle here.
I honestly don't think it's been a darker season. And to me, like, my reasoning is that, like, it hasn't been focusing as much on just like shock humor and more. It's like, it seems more deeply concerned this season with like character, like development and analysis and conversations and growth. And I don't consider that necessarily dark, but it is like way more like deep and interesting. And there's a lot more like meat there. And I think that's been like one of the most interesting things about the season, just like tracking this character progression and learning more about the characters, like especially like Morty, Rick, and Beth, and Summer, just like all of them, just like figuring out. And even though I like hate Jerry so much, like I do feel like I know way more about Jerry and like how he thinks now than I did in the past 2 seasons. So I think it's still like really good, and I'm glad that it's going this direction. I think it's about time because this is season 3. But I don't think it's necessarily darker.
Okay. 1 vote no on darker. Alex, what do you say here?
I'm also going to vote no. I feel like dark humor has always been an element of Rick and Morty, even in previous seasons. I think what you could interpret as the show getting darker would be treating these serious themes in their personalities and all. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of these things have been treated in the previous seasons, but a bit more subtly. Just to put an example, like Rick struggling with his emotional attachments, we got a little bit of that already in the last episode of season 2 in the Wedding Squanchers. Also, you had him with Unity, considering how he handles relationships, and it was much more subtler. I feel like in this season, it's done a lot more of explaining with words. Like, for example, that whole monologue in Pickle Rick of the psychologist just basically throwing out Rick's entire way of thinking. I think the season has done a lot more of that, and because of that, we feel that we know the characters better. But I think what it's more doing is just confirming what you could have already inferred about the characters' personalities in previous seasons. And just as for the humor in itself, I do think it's gotten a bit more advanced, but it hasn't gotten darker. I think these jokes could just as well fit into a season 2 episode. So all in all, I think that it's dealing with serious themes, but it's not necessarily darker than what you would have gotten in the past.
It's good. That's good logic there. Any of this could have been in season 2. Okay. Britt, what do you think? Darkest season of the show?
I'm gonna go also with no. It is the most somber and serious. It has the most complexity of characters, and I think the writing is... I would even say the writing is more complex. It's not even as violent as previous season. Like, if I remember correctly, season 2 was extremely violent, and I watched season 2 like 3 weeks ago. So I'm gonna go with no. Everyone already stated that the dark humor could exist everywhere in the show. The first episode of the show is very dark, but it's also kind of shallow, so it's kind of a toss-up. What do they mean by dark also is important. Like, the therapist and speech, and then Morty's speech to Jerry, and then basically everybody's sort of dealing with the divorce, and there's a lot of, heavy things in the way the children deal with divorce, and like, so there's that, and those are like really heavy themes, and but it's not any more bloody, it's not any more than we're used to seeing. I would say it's on par, and maybe they wanted it to be the darkest season, and maybe they thought in the writer's room, ooh, this is going to be so dark and juicy, but it's not. I would say it's quite possibly my favorite. The end of season 2, I really, really loved the end of season 2. I think season 2 might end up being my favorite of the show, but season 3 has been pretty strong so far, so we'll see.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, 3 votes for no. Some good logic all around here. Andy, you can echo this or go in a different direction.
I'm definitely going the opposite direction. I don't know what you guys are talking about. This season's definitely the darkest season. Because, like, you guys are, like, trying to, like, argue about, like, well, we don't know what they mean by dark. It's like, we're supposed to say what it is. And I think this is darker. They're talking about personal problems. We're going into deep character stuff. That's always going to be darker than people shooting each other in the head. That's always going to be darker. Like, that, like, it's like the argument between, like, it is. Like, think about it. Think about Attack on Titan. That's just an edgy show where people die all the time. Compared to BoJack Horseman, which is all character depth. BoJack Horseman is a lot darker.
Are you saying that there's no character depth in Attack on Titan? What?
That's a different argument, but I do think that there's no character depth in that show. But that's a different argument for another day.
Not for this podcast. But, yeah, continue.
My point is that this season has a lot more character depth, and they brought in a lot of new writers. And instead of because they purposely brought in new writers to change the tone, to change how they're going to do this season, to make it more consistent, to make it more thematically like coherent through the entire season. And it really shows. Like, they could have just done everything they did the last few seasons. They could have had another Cable episode, which I probably would have loved. But they decided to throw some stuff away and say, hey, we want to do something different because we realize we can't do this for 10 seasons in a row. We want to do something different so we can continue doing Rick and Morty. And I think it really is a good experiment, and it works. And I hope that they continue to try this through the seasons they have, because this is a darker season that looks at character, and I like that. I like that we get these episodes like the end of Pickle Rick, where we have Beth and Rick in the car talking, and it's just really depressing and happy at the same time, but that doesn't mean it's not dark. And there's scenes like this all through this season, and they're not the same as the other seasons. Like the suicide scene in season 2, where he almost kills himself, it's dark, but it's kind of undercut by how, like, we don't talk about it ever again. This season, we talk about things and they don't go away. They're continually brought up, and that keeps it in our mind, keeps it fresh, and I really like that in this season.
I also really like it, too. That was one of the fears I had watching the first 2 seasons, that it would end up being kind of like Bob's Burgers. Like, one of my things that I loved about Bob's Burgers was the characters, but they don't go anywhere. But these characters are going somewhere. And I really appreciate that as well.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely one of the stronger points of the season is kind of the character depth we've gotten into, especially with Pickle Rick, also other episodes here. These are all good answers. So at least everyone's getting a 5, but I think a few stood out to me. So Michelle, Britt get 5s. Alex, I think, was the most well-reasoned, so I'll give him a 6. And then
you gave a 6,
and then Andy gets an 8 because he said the opposite of what all of you said. So that's what I'm really looking for here is differentiating answers.
Right.
That's all it takes.
That's a weird grading system.
Look, I just want to hear different takes.
All
I do
right.
want to hear different takes. Also, I think both are good points. Like, is what do you define as dark? Is it like depressing character stuff, or is it more of more of a potential, like yelling at each other and like people dying? I don't know. All of it's potentially valid. I think maybe the biggest point in this not being the darkest season would be, I still think the darkest moment of the show would be Rick trying to kill himself in season 2. So I think it's maybe hard to argue that.
I think the darkest season was Bird Person getting shot.
I think the darkest is him giving himself up to the Federation, personally.
That's a good one too. Bird Person getting shot.
I think the darkest one was him going to prison and Nine Inch Nails playing.
Dylan, that was that was dark because
you might have thought that was funny, but I actually thought that was
it was a poignant moment. Yeah, I agree.
Because he
it was poignant for
gave
sure.
up for his family, and that was like him deciding to care.
Yes, Andy.
Versus his own
Never mind.
I wish I had been on that discussion, but it happened before.
So after this question, Britt 19, Andy 18, Michelle 17, Alex 9. Okay, so continue on. Slowly catching up. Next question. What is the funniest gag of the season? More of a long-term concept that you found funny. I think maybe Alex and Andy's answers would have been better served for this question from the quote, but we'll see what we bring to the table here. What's the funniest gag of the season? Let's start with Andy.
Okay. The funniest gag in the season was I really think it was that the therapist was also a corpophagia therapist, the shit eating thing, because it just kept coming up somehow. Like she had the binders full of shit, and there was the math teacher coming out. And he's just coming out of the shit thing, and oh my god, there was no reason for that to be there. It was the one part of the episode that just didn't need to be there at all for it to work, but it was just there. For some reason, she's a therapist that helps with people eating shit. And I just love that because it just doesn't really make sense that she also is a family therapist. But I really like it a lot.
Yeah, and Mr. Goldenfold, too. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely a good example of the gag. Yeah, something that recurs several times. Okay, this is a strong choice here. And on brand with your love of Pickle Rick. Liking that. Britt, what do you have as funniest gag of the season?
My favorite gag of the season is actually kind of a running gag, and that is truly ridiculous outfits. There were quite a few among the different Ricks in Rickshank Redemption. There was one that literally had Tommy's mom's hair from Rugrats, which I giggled at. There was in Rick Romancing the Stone in the Mad Max world. There was an abundance of weird outfits. Like the dude who had melted dolls on his arm, the dude with that mask, the dude with this other mask, the dude whose nipple piercings attached to his leotard. Every single character in Vindicators had a stupid outfit, including Morty. I think Rick looked okay. There was a Rick with blue pants in the Rickshank Redemption.
Yeah.
And there's just dumb outfits. Like Jerry has like 5 dumb outfits. He has like the boiler hat, the Rick Mancing the Stone outfit where he's got like the 7 medals, rest and relaxation. They're hanging out in their underwear. They were dumb stuff at some point, I'm sure. Pickle Rick, he's a pickle. There's all of Beth's dumb.
Yes, very ridiculous outfit.
I consider it an outfit.
Yeah, it is.
Whirly Durly can barely see the children. The dude with 3 heads had on like a funny tie.
Okay.
Jared leaves the house with no pants. His dick is just hanging out. He has a blast in his face. They're funny outfits.
That's lack of
an outfit. Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
But maybe it
is a form of dress or undress.
Form of dress or undress. I like that. Okay. Yeah, Rick's blue pants too. You noted that. That was that's one of the more notable outfits.
Yes, I like this gag because it was subtle but still funny.
Okay. That's something I hadn't thought of as an intentional gag, but that's well supported, cited many examples. I like that. Okay, very interesting. Alex, what's your funniest gag?
I had to go with the Summer and Morty bots from Rick Romancing the Stone. I think they that B plot is probably the best of the season so far, and just like them malfunctioning so frequently, like Morty going, "Oh, my sister died in the spaghetti," and at the end, when like they gain sentience at some point, Morty is like, "I want to hold you. I want to run in a stream. I am alive. Hello." Just his very very nuts, that entire plot, and then also as an extension when Beth thinks that real Morty is like fake Morty, I guess, is like, who wants to run in a stream, and real Morty's just like, what the fuck, no. So, yeah, just the entire B plot works because the bots are just so insane. I love that part.
Nice, yeah, that's a good one. Michelle, what you got here for funniest gag?
Hands down for me, is the the Mulan McNugget Szechuan sauce thing from Rick Shank Redemption. Because it's just like, he keeps bringing it up, and he's just like so into that damn sauce. And then like his monologue at the end is so insane. Because like you finally get this, it's like, oh, like maybe like Rick finally did like, do what we do like to like help them because he cares about them. And then he just like talks like, no, what we're gonna do? We're gonna get the Szechuan sauce. And like I even got the whole rant, and it's just like so funny. He's like, I'm not driven by avenging my dead family, Morty. That was fake. I'm driven by finding the McNugget sauce. I want that Mulan McNugget sauce, Morty. That's my series arc, Morty. If it takes 9 seasons, I want my nugget dipping sauce, Szechuan sauce. That's what's gonna take us to the end, Morty. Season 9, 9 more seasons. It's just like, it's so crazy, and it's such a weird ending, and it totally like flies in the face of like any kind of like feel goody ending we could have possibly had, and it's so like incredibly in tone with the show and Rick. It just felt so perfect. I had to go with it.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys let that answer get to Michelle. I mean, that's the obvious one.
Yeah, I was surprised too. It's so good.
Yeah, that's like the objectively right answer, I think. Michelle gets 8 points for that. That's like, I think that would be number one. I'm not as in love with that as everyone else, but it's so memorable and like.
It's so memorable.
It's quite
I feel like there have been better gags.
Good.
Was it
it's
the
a top
best?
5.
Yeah.
Was it
Alex gave a top 5 gag for me. The bots. That might be number 2, so he gets 5 points for that. Brit, not something I would have thought of as a gag. I still am not convinced that fits the definition, but it was really well supported, so I'll give that a 4. And then, Andy gets a 3, funny, but not a top 10 gag of the season, I would say. Is the poop stuff. Like, it was good, but I think there's better. Like, no one mentioned the like immortality field. I think that's a top one. We had the Armathy from Romancing the Stone as well.
We had this fight before, Dylan. I used that as a gag on my panel, and you said that was a character. You got mad at me when I used it as a gag.
Well, okay. Armathy's flashbacks. How about that? I think that's what I said. Yeah.
Okay.
So Armathy's flashbacks. So that was a great gag too. Yeah. So I mean, come on, the McNuggets are the right answer. Okay. So, I'll tally up the scores as we go to our next question here. Who is the best minor character of the season? Anyone who is not Rick, not Morty, Beth, Summer, or Jerry. So you all answered either Summer or Morty for the character. How about minor character? Who stands out to you, the most? Michelle.
Honestly, Armathy was my best minor character, because it's such a silly concept, and this could have been so boring, and it totally wasn't, because we gave him flashbacks and he got to like achieve his quest of avenging his murdered family, and he like actually helped Morty like work through his problems, and it just like worked so well. Like, the whole episode was such a weird concept, but like it was handled in a way that really paid off, and I think Armathy is a really great example of a minor character like becoming memorable because the delivery was so strong, and we spent enough time with him the whole episode to really actually kind of care about the fact that he exists, even though he's just an arm. So Armathy was my choice.
Nice. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I did argue that Armathy counts as a minor character. So, okay, good choice here, Michelle. Britt, who's your favorite minor character of the season, or the season?
Staying on brand with my summer favorites, I'm going to go with Hemorrhage, because he is ridiculous. He wears Appleish chaps, and then he starts out this like fierce warrior, then he takes off his hat and he has a stupid mustache. Another funny outfit, and then they have like this epic like nihilist romance, and then he gets television and becomes a shitty boyfriend. And he's just hilarious the whole way through, because they treat him like blank face with seriousness, but he's the most ridiculous human being on planet Earth. Also, he's blonde like Summer's boyfriend back home, so I think she has a type, so hopefully we'll like get her a romance with somebody who's not a fuckboy.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's like Ethan. Yeah, that's a good analysis there, that Summer has a type. I think
he's what she would hope Ethan would be, but he is not.
Ethan now deformed from Morty's Ray. So, yeah, I don't.
Who knows? Maybe she'll fall in love with him on the inside, because he stops being a fuckboy now he's ugly.
Yeah.
But never.
I think we need to.
Yeah. He could be her Jerry.
We need to check.
Intercourse will be a strange thing to figure out.
We need to check in if Ethan's fixed now. Yeah, then we never got a sign of that. Okay, so we have Armathy and Hemorrhage from the same episode. Andy, what do you got here?
Clearly the best minor character is Stacy. She is above and beyond the funniest minor character in any episode. Her say like just the idea that she would be okay with going back home with Morty, a 14-year-old child, and she's just like, whatever, it's fine. And then seeing him and Rick fighting, and her going, is it wrong that I think this is hot? And then each time sea cucumber is mentioned, it's amazing. Like at the stinger when she pops out of the tube, she's just yelling sea cucumber. It's great. Like every scene that she's in is just made amazing by her existence, and I love it. I love her so much.
Nice, yeah, strong choice there. Alex, bring us home. Who's the best minor character this season?
I think it's Cornelius Daniel, who you may better know as the alien agent in Rick's brain in Rick Shank Redemption. I think Nathan Fillion does a really good job with his voice. I think he's the closest Rick has had to an equal in this season. I think that he's just very funny, like comparing Rick's brain to a show, and he's so safe. And then, like, just him being aroused whenever he brings up the portal gun, and his like little nose things light up. And then, like, he just total lack of care for Rick. Like when Rick's wife dies in the fake memory, he's like, "Wow, this sauce is effing amazing. You said it was promoting a movie." And then just like his total like what just happened when Rick like turns the tables on him and he realizes we're still at the Shoney's. We're still at the Shoney's. And so I think like him being at the beginning of the episode helps a lot in making that episode like the best, because it like right away the humor begins and it just continues going crazy throughout the rest of the episode. So I think he's the MVP of the side characters this season.
Yeah, it's sometimes easy to forget about the episode 1 stuff, but yeah, that's a strong choice. These are all good answers. 5s all around. I like personally, I agree with Michelle and Andy's answers more, but Brit supported Hemorrhage really well. Even though I'm not crazy about Hemorrhage, that was a real well-reasoned answer. And same with Alex with the Nathan Fillion agent. So I think those are all great. Not mentioned. We had Stacy. We had we had Armathy, but we did like the Vindicators. Those were also good answers here. We had Pickle. I mean, the characters from Pickle Rick, right? We had some great ones.
Yeah, my second guy was the agency director. Peter Serafinowicz did a great job of being intimidating.
Yeah,
in that
he's
episode.
great. Jaguar's great, and Dr. Wong, right? So.
Yeah, she was one of my choices also that I was considering.
Yeah, I think she's.
I did write her down, but then I changed my mind. Crap!
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
Yeah, she would have been a strong answer too. Yeah, so there's a bunch of good ones here. But yeah, good answers all around there. But so going into the last question, Michelle 30, Brit 28, Andy 26, Alex 19. But this is the most important question. So there's a lot of points on the line here. Okay, I need.
Oh my god!
I need answers to this. I need answers. The most important question. Last time on our panel, Alex presented dumbly after the scoring had ended, but he presented this incredible theory that Trisha Lang, the massive stripper titties, says Summer, and then she's again. So she's in episode 5. She says she's Ethan's dating her instead of Summer. Summer complains about her massive stripper titties. The quote Brit said, right? And then she's also like, I gotta go talk to my mom, right? And then in episode 6, she's also there in the beginning and end when she talks about peeing on you, yum. And then also in the beginning, the penis in foreskin kind of love.
Foreskin love.
So
yes.
Just
Trisha Lang in the latest 2 episodes, and she has the same voice actress as Tammy, who, as we saw in the stinger at episode 1, is the only potential Federation agent surviving, takes cyber person, whatever. Yeah, and so Phoenix person. No one said him, by the way. So we have they're the same voice actor. Trisha Lang, the character we've never seen before, randomly pops up in these last 2 episodes. So is Trisha Lang secretly Tammy in disguise? Because like she randomly comes into the show, she comes in our characters' lives, same voice actress. Like, is Tammy infiltrating the family here? And, this theory blew my mind. So we can have Alex start out here. I've presented the facts, Alex. So the question is this true? Is Trisha Lang secretly Tammy? Are we going to reveal this in the last 4 episodes?
Look, when I presented the theory, in advance, I do want to give credit to Richard Carlin, who appears to be the person who fleshed it out a little after I noticed the cast thing. But when I mentioned it, I was more on the side of Trisha being an agent of.
We got to go all in here. We got to go all in on this. I like people secretly being people in disguise. We know this. This is the
Dylan sold on this too hard to be swayed now.
You got to go all in here.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. I'm not as crazy as you, Dylan. I'm sorry.
Is that it? Come on, support your answer. Support your answer.
I'm just not the guy into docking. I'm sorry. But anyways, I can't buy it. It would be way too convoluted. Well, I mean, look, Rick and Morty can be very convoluted at times. So, like, if it happened, I don't think I would be surprised. But I just can't get it in my mind that, like, Tammy is somehow able to, like, take over a person's body. But, no, wait. Okay, now that I'm talking this out, like, in Rick Shank Redemption, we have the machine that Rick uses to switch bodies all the time, right? And
Federation technology, right?
That is a Federation building. So Tammy does have the technology to do this. And she is already well aware of what she did last time and what she did wrong, in this case being too close. She was friends with Summer. So, but this time Trisha is taking a bit of a more like standoffish approach, like first with the boyfriend of Summer and then with the friend of Morty. So, like, she's like taking a step back, but while still being able to observe them. So, and you've already mentioned all the main things that this theory is based on. So, like, all in all, I think the technology is there. I think Tammy is crazy enough to do it. And okay, so I somehow brought myself into this. There
you go. You're all the way back there.
Tammy is Trisha.
Okay. You've arrived at the right answer. I like that. Good job, Alex. I'm glad we saw the light on this. That was an experience. This has changed Alex's life.
Yeah, I had an orgasm.
The theory is that good. I'm telling you, it's that good of a theory. Okay.
Oh.
Well,
we're going to be famous for figuring this out.
Yeah, we'll give Alex a second to calm down here. Britt, yes or no, is Trisha Lang secretly Tammy?
Is she secretly Tammy? Or did her voice actress still have a contract for 3 more episodes so they gave her a character?
Right, we should say
get your cynical realism.
We should say voice actors can multiple rules.
They just like her and wanted to keep her around. Can there be 2 different women in the same universe with the same voice actress?
So is this a no?
With very similar personalities, like I might add.
I wouldn't be unsurprised if they pulled this, but I would say so far no, because she hasn't done anything important enough other than, like, be sexualized and make dumb jokes.
Okay, that is.
But didn't Tammy? That was all Tammy had before eating burgers.
Yeah. So it's either they're just like remaking the trope.
Yeah, it could just be a new Tammy character. Yeah, but
it could just be a new Tammy character, which is what I'm thinking. But
okay, so Alex,
I just want to see her pull off the zipper and pop out.
Yes.
But like, the likelihood of that is pretty low.
Okay. 1 vote yes, 1 vote no. Michelle, weigh in on this.
I definitely do not think that Trisha Lang is Tammy.
Explain yourself.
Because Tammy's awesome. We haven't seen. Why would they? She's already established. She's already like a big deal coming into the season. So why would she go back into like pretending to be a high school student on Earth? Like, I don't think that makes sense for her motivation at all. Plus, like, kind of building off what Britt said, like, I think the show, like, it seems to have this like attraction to having girl characters that like talk about really kinky shit. Like, they think it's really funny and they keep doing it. They did it with Stacey too, and I love it and I think it's great. But like, I wouldn't be surprised that 2 of those characters exist in the same season. I don't think they have to be Tammy to be saying stuff like that.
Exactly.
So the reason why she would do this,
I think it's less that she is this person and more that she fills this show's trope.
She definitely fills that role.
Yeah.
And I think in response to that, like, just this show, like, you're right, it does like doing that. Like, personally, I just don't find it funny on its own, just like throwing random sexual stuff. If there was a reason behind it, then I would be down with it, and it would make rewatches that much more entertaining. So I guess that's why I'm glomming on to this theory, just like make it have a meaning. Because otherwise, like, it's silly, but it's not funny on its own.
I guess it depends. Disagree. I mean, for me, like, the silliness comes from, like, the surprising shock of, like, oh my god, did you just say that? Like, did you just say penis in the foreskin kind of love? Because it's just, like, you don't hear people talk about that, like, all the time. Like,
yeah, it's more just, like, an thing, but, like, it like, feels thrown in. Like, at this point, I feel like the show is able to do more highbrow stuff than that.
sweater.
It does feel
To sweater.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I just think it's funny because it's so like surprising. It's becoming less surprising as the season wears on, but also just like, I don't know. I personally think it's kind of great to see these.
Revenge? Like, what would her motivation be?
Let me explain the motivation.
Like, she's such like a high thinking
All right,
character.
explain
She's
the
just gonna become a high
motivation.
school student and like
Yeah.
That's what confuses me. Like, she's already very
like, is that what we're
established.
expecting?
Yeah.
Look, okay.
Can't she just be sexual?
Can I give my answer before we start going?
No,
into
you
other
cannot.
things?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No,
Okay, so
You were taking away Tammy's agency.
first of all, Tammy's. This is all Tammy's master plan. But Trisha Lang does feel very thrown into the beginning and end of the last episode. But okay, so here's the thing: the Federation is gone. Tammy has no power structure to go on. She was secretly a Federation agent, but Rick has single-handedly destroyed her entire organization. She's out for revenge, and she's infiltrating Rick's life.
Then how'd she get the machine if she has no organization?
She was still in some building that existed. Like there's some storage.
Why didn't she just grab a gun and try and shoot him?
I mean, she was
because Rick's too smart for that.
Rick left.
Like,
she didn't.
Is she gonna kill
I don't know what her. I'm not entirely sure. I think she probably wants to kill Rick, but
if she has the shoot, she just could have put on a cleaning lady outfit and be like, "We free service," and then be like,
"It does seem convoluted." I agree with that, but she already did this though. She already infiltrated this by being a high school student. So
that's why it doesn't make sense. Though she already tried.
So she has to change her appearance. It worked. Change her appearance, do it again, and now she's in to kill Rick, get revenge on destroying her organization.
But it didn't work. She failed. Her entire organization went down the cracker.
Yeah,
it didn't get Rick in prison.
It didn't work.
Killing Rick.
It seemed like a good idea.
I'm not arguing this is like the optimal plan.
Or really even Morty. She's just going after Summer.
She could be going after Summer or something. I think it's more about Rick though. But her in disguise it did work. They tricked them all at the end of season 2. Rick ultimately destroyed them, but that's not really related to her going undercover. Anyway, Andy, yes or no? Is Trisha Lang secretly Tammy in disguise?
She's definitely Tammy. I loved this theory the second I heard it, but it's more than just like all the evidence you guys have had but for or against. It's that from a plot perspective, this is the perfect way to end a season about character development. The best way to see how a character has changed from a previous season is to throw them into a similar situation that they've already faced before. And if you have Tammy, that's a similar person, and then we have Bird person or Phoenix person, either name works here. And you get them to see these characters again. You can see how they've changed from the last time. And that means they have to get Tammy in there somehow. And this is a perfect vehicle to get Tammy back into the plot. And her having a convoluted plot to kill Rick, it's a comedy show. It's going to have some convoluted plots that are really dumb. And that just adds to the hilarity of it. Like, it doesn't matter how she's become like Trisha Lang, either brain thing or holograms, or she's done it. She is Trisha Lang right now, and she's sneaking in, and she's going to try to kill Rick or his family. Either way, she's on a war path now because she's really mad, and she's clearly if this is true, this is an amazing twist, and I think it'll just pay off amazingly with the way the characters have changed.
Yeah, this is very obvious.
I would like to
this
see
is very obviously true. I mean, come on, guys. Lion is Pink Diamond, and also very.
You need to don't you dare go into that rabbit hole.
This is happening. The biggest reason why this is happening is because Trisha Lang was not a person before 2 episodes ago, and now she's just prominently in the last 2 episodes for no reason. So, she's completely shoehorned into the last episode. It's foreshadowing for her. Having some secret importance on the show. This 100% is going to be true, and I can't wait for it to happen. Of note, the last episode of the season is entitled The Rick-Churian Morty Date, a play on Manchurian Candidate. Now, I'm not 100% familiar with Manchurian Candidate source material, but there's something you could probably shoehorn this into being related to Manchurian Candidate. It's like a brainwashed sleeper person. Yeah. So maybe that's similar. So there's also that title. It's not exactly what we're talking about. We're assuming she's like intentional.
Could be a sleeper character.
Yeah. So
what if Jerry's a sleeper character and that's why he's so awful?
Be good. I'd love to do something with Jerry, but I don't know. I'm 100% expecting this to happen. It just makes too much sense. It makes too much sense, and it's like, what's going to be the finale, right? We haven't really been building up any plot, so I think this would be also another good way to have something that tie into some episodes of the season. So,
one variation I want to bring up. What if the Federation knows that Morty is very important to Rick, and especially Morty's sanity? So Trisha targets Jessica. By killing Jessica, Morty goes insane. Finally makes him snap after we've seen him slowly getting more and more sociopathic as the season has gotten on. So it just as a side, maybe it's not Rick, but maybe it's someone very close to Rick that will affect him in a very strong way.
Yeah, we have conspicuously brought Jessica back into the show as well. I think that goes hand in hand with this type of thing. Is like something with Jessica. She's also last 2 episodes, pretty prominently brought back into the show. So I could see something like that too. Like, yeah, maybe she's.
Serious question. Do you think Jessica actually has feelings for Morty, or is it a one-way
Yeah,
street?
that was a discussion last week because it's pretty ambiguous at the end of last week's episode. I think that she has something going on. I think that's what the end of last episode was implying, at least, is that there's something there on her end. That's another question. I don't know if that's going to pay off, but
I feel like they're gonna. If Jessica remains for the rest of the show, I feel like they'll just use that as the on-off thing of the show. Like they're having Morty think of a relationship, but never actually get around to it.
Yeah.
The other thing that could happen is, like, I feel like that whole thing was a little bit out of character for Jessica. It could be that Trisha has replaced Jessica with like a Jessica robot, because we got robot people at the beginning of the season. And we could get a robot Jessica.
Maybe if Trisha, if Tammy hopped into Trisha's brain with the Rick machine, maybe she hopped into maybe she's in Jessica now.
She's hopping bodies.
I think you guys are missing the most obvious conclusion, is that they decided, oh, hey, Jessica was never a character. She was like a thing for Morty to have feelings about. Now that we want to care more about female characters, maybe we give her more to do. You know. I literally think it might be as simple as that. Sure. She's not like a robot.
Dude, that's boring. That's boring. Come on.
I mean, they literally just want her to have more to do. I mean, that makes the most sense.
Your heterosexual normative, like, goggles on. You're like, there must be something. When really it's just like, maybe we should give this
everything is
this show is so
three writers in the writers room, and the end of the season is going to be the people from the beginning who captured Rick, the Federation coming back, because so far the conclusions to the show for the seasons have all been like based around that. That's like his big thing, and we're gonna find about more with Rick's like fighting them, and like I hope Bird Person comes back. He's been mentioned, but it's either that.
Yeah, who's Bird Person in disguise? That's what we really need to talk about. That's the real question. Where's Bird Person hiding?
He'll replace Ethan.
Oh, Ethan's Bird Person. Oh man, I'm in. Okay.
These characters are out of control.
Ethan's Bird Person.
This is one line too far.
Yeah, Ethan and Trisha Lang is Tammy and Bird Person. It's the original couple realized. Duh.
No, I draw the line here.
What do you mean, no?
Get Ethan out of here.
Alex, thank God.
No.
Everything.
He's useless.
Look, obviously Ethan's useless. All the Jessica stuff's not. I don't think that's true, but I do think it's conspicuous we brought her back, and there could be multiple explanations. But Tammy is Trisha Lang. That's 100% true. Anyway, everyone gets 5 points for that because these are all reasonable answers, which means that
reasonable.
Mine is the most reasonable. But Bird Person being Ethan is the most reasonable of all of those answers. You know, if someone brought that up earlier, then that could have been a game changing theory. Just. So,
Bird Person is Ethan, and that's why they're trying to get together.
Yes, doesn't it make sense?
And have their love in a place where it will be accepted now that the Federation is no longer real.
Maybe they're not even going to reveal it.
To live out their shame. Like
Tammy isn't even out for revenge. She just wants to be with Bird Person in a different setting. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Anyway, the score is maintained from last round, which means Michelle is our winner here on today's panel. Brit second, Andy third, Alex a far fourth. So.
I still respect Alex.
Yeah, it was a bold move. Okay, Michelle, you've FaceTime here. Any top Rick and Morty topic you want to talk about? Go.
Oh no. I never thought this would happen. Maybe we can all take a moment to listen to the Terry Fold song, which is
we can't.
And everyone
we can't put it on the copyright. We can't do that. But
well, everyone in your own house, put it on and just like take a moment to appreciate the folds and all the joy they could bring so many people, especially Terry, maybe, if he's
So,
real.
Michelle, what's your take on the Terry Fold song? Are they?
Are you real?
I wonder if it was Scary Terry's
Ooh.
Fold would be a very interesting
Ooh.
concept and what that would mean in a larger context. I'm not sure completely, though, but I like that as a
He does have a lot
headcanon.
of, yeah.
Because I love Scary Terry. He's like one of my
Yeah.
faves.
Michelle, are
so.
these?
I'd
Right,
hope
because then that would mean that we get radio signal from different dimensions. Obviously, Rick's ship is capable of doing that. But could you imagine him being able to hear AM radio from dimension 437, and he's talking about the Gazorpian politics and Rick is getting irrationally
that would be
angry.
Amazing.
because he's so bored. Like, what else is he gonna do to kill time? Like, that's exactly the kind of thing he'd be invested in.
Yeah, that's true. Michelle, are these?
People have weird hobbies. Okay, just
I guess so. Michelle, are these Terry's folds? Are they the type of fold is a Terry fold, or?
I think anyone could have a Terry fold. That's my belief. I think you might have to buy them or grow them yourself, but I think they can be mass produced.
Whoa, okay.
And you can enjoy them. I think everyone can enjoy a Terry fold.
Are they skin folds? Are they plants?
I think they
Are
could
they
be
sheet
skin
folds?
folds. They could latch onto you, or they could grow on you for a temporary amount of time and dissolve off later. There's a lot of options.
Yeah,
It's very
Michelle, I
versatile.
need your Terry Fold fanfic on the table by next week, okay? Please come back to that.
Do we get to do a live reading of this
That'd be
fanfic?
so
Yeah,
good.
we'll read it.
Now,
We get a little drunk,
Okay.
maybe it will happen. That would be the
Look, that's always an option on
Way
Rick
to
and Morty podcast.
yeah, and I just say that Terry Fold, I think I agree with Michelle because, in English, we have the Charlie horse, but obviously anybody can get a Charlie horse, not just Charlies. So,
That's an awesome point.
Okay.
Terry Fold's
Okay.
problem.
I thought Charlie was the name of the horse. Is
no,
Charlie not the name of the horse?
believe it or
Charlie
not,
horse?
you have a horse inside of you, and his name is Charlie.
Okay.
But it's in your leg.
Okay, we're done.
Is it something that happens to Charlie horse?
No, see, that's why
legs,
that's why when
or,
when
the horse Charlie's legs, or
This
is it
trade
about?
is
A
Okay, we're
horse
done here.
that,
Okay, that's
gesture
enough. That's-
has to
see, that's why when we
Charlie.
run, we
No,
measure
that's
it in
enough.
horsepower.
Stop, Alex. Stop. Okay.
I'm gonna die.
must
I'm so
know.
hungry. What's
Okay.
dinner?
So our iTunes review of the week is from Universal, who says, "My hot take. I'm real.
Universal or Universal?
Universal.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Who says, my hot take, I'm really enjoying the season 3 panels. I don't think it would work everywhere, but I'm really enjoying the competitive reviews. Thank you, Universal, for your review. I agree. This is only this game show thing's only for this. This is not being applied to other shows. So
Yes.
this is just here. And if you want to, I will read your iTunes review at the end of the podcast. We really appreciate them. If you go search for Overly Animated Rick and Morty and leave us your review on our Rick and Morty feed or our main feed, which you just search for Overly Animated, either one, and we'll read it on the end of either the recap or the panel discussion. We'll be back next week to discuss the Ricklantis mix-up. Very hyped for the Atlantis episode of Rick and Morty. Recap podcast plus panel coming your way next week. Make sure to subscribe to us so you don't miss anything at overlyanimated.com/iTunes or search for Overly Animated Rick and Morty podcast for our Rick and Morty specific feed. Check out all of the other stuff going on at overlyanimated.com, a bunch of other shows, and BoJack Horseman's about to start up season 4, so we'll be covering that. If you guys don't watch BoJack, you should as well. Another referenced on this podcast a while ago, like an hour ago, but it was a great show that's coming on Netflix on Friday. So check all of that out.
That guy that has an actual horse in it.
Oh yeah, speaking of horses,
One of
that's
those
true.
fake horses.
Yeah, speaking of horses, okay. And tell me in the comments why Trisha Lang is Tammy. Yep, tell me and say yes. Say yep. That's true. Say I agree, and leave your Terry
Oh my
Folds
God.
fanfic in the comment. Okay, thank you guys very much for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.